Hi, Raghav here. Have you ever failed to meet a quarterly target despite doing everything right? When your team executed flawlessly, your strategy was sound, your planning was thorough, yeah, and still, the numbers just fell short. Perhaps it was a product launch that coincided with an unexpected competitor announcement, or a carefully crafted marketing campaign that landed during a sudden market shift, or a thoughtfully designed process improvement that got derailed by factors outside your control. In these moments, the familiar phrase that we are aware of echoes loudly in our minds: results are what matters. The weight of these words feels particularly heavy because we have built our professional identities around being results driven leaders. We proudly display it on our LinkedIn profiles, highlight it in our interviews, and wear it as a badge of honor in our careers. Yet, what happens when this results first mindset collides with the messy reality of leadership in the real world? When solid decisions meet bad timing, when we do everything by the book, but the variables outside our control just refuse to cooperate. It creates a peculiar kind of angst amongst us, where everything we believe about good leadership seems to conflict with how we are measuring it. Former world champion poker player Annie Duke calls this resulting, our tendency to judge decisions solely by their outcomes. It's like calling a poker player's decision bad simply because they lost a hand, even though they played the odds perfectly. For example, consider a manager who rushes a project, cuts corners, ignores team burnout, and yet hits their numbers. Another manager builds sustainable processes, develops their team's capabilities, makes thoughtful decisions, but misses targets because the competitor launched unexpected. Traditional wisdom would label the first manager successful and the second one as a failure. But we can do better than that. So I'm here to tell you that you have permission to evaluate your leadership beyond just the results. The weight of this permission feels particularly heavy in today's metrics driven world. Yet consider how focusing solely on outcomes shapes leadership environments. Teams learn to avoid smart risks, choosing instead to make safe, uninspired decisions, all to keep their job safe. Innovation withers because experimentation feels too dangerous. People burn out trying to control variables far beyond their influence. And worst of all, genuine learning gets overshadowed by an unhealthy fixation on numbers. Great leadership lives in the space between the intention and the outcome. It dwells in the quality of thought behind strategies, the careful cultivation of team capacity, and the creation of environments where sustainable growth can actually happen. When a manager takes time to develop a junior team member instead of doing the work themselves, that choice should matter and does matter, regardless of whether the project succeeds or fails. So, all that is well and good, but how do you put it into practice? Here's my request to you. When reviewing any initiative, resist the urge to jump straight to the outcome. Instead, begin with deeper questions that illuminate the full picture of leadership. Number one, what was the reasoning behind key decisions at each stage? Number two, how did these choices affect team development and morale? Number three, which variables were within our control and how did we handle them? Number four, what insights emerged that make us better leaders regardless of the outcome? What these questions do is this: they show that this isn't just about dismissing results, results have their place, but it's about seeing the results as one part of a richer leadership story. A story that includes the strength of your processes, the growth of your people, and the sustainability of your approach. It's high time that we learn to measure the success or failure of our approach not just by outcomes, because sometimes you can have great outcomes while having implemented really poor processes or taken really poor decisions. What you want is a scenario where the process that you and your team adopt is one that can give you consistently good results 8 out of 10 times. And for that, you need to develop and fine tune your process and focus on that. Don't make the mistake of focusing just on results.